Here we go, head to toe. Let's start nice and easy. Let's use the right hand to press gently into the right of the head into that right hand. Just hold it for a moment, but relax the shoulders down, and then gently let the head melt down towards the ear. Nice soft jaw. Support the head back up to the center, left hand on the left side of the head. Just gently press. So the reason we do this is to engage the muscles. It's much easier for the muscles to then relax. If we slightly tie them out, we've got the brain connecting to those muscles and then gently melt the head down. We'll do the same forwards and backwards, but just give yourself time here to relax the shoulders down. So supporting the head back to the center, lightly press into the forehead. Here you might even feel the throat muscles, the deeper throat muscles engage. And it's up to you whether you just let the head drop down or you add on a little bit of a stretch, deeper stretch to the back of the neck by clasping the hands behind the back. Slowly take the head up. Now we press into the hands at the back of the head, leaning or trying to lean back. Hold, just feel any tension in the head. And then gently lifting the shoulders, drop the head back. Obviously a much more vulnerable position for the neck, so we want to make sure it's got enough support. And slowly take the head center. One little roll all the way around. You're not trying to go to your edge. We're all about mobility here. We don't need extreme flexibility to be healthy. And on the contrary, we just want to be able to move in a nice, healthy range. So once each direction, we'll move on to the shoulders. Let's roll the shoulders in. Lift the arms, flip the palms to face up. Can you see that? And the chest open wide. So just simple shoulder rolls, rounding in, internally rotating the shoulders, flip the palms, and the shoulders back and down. Again, you can add on any movement into the neck here if you feel you need still some release there. Let's get the breath going nice and deeply in and out of the nose, adding on a little bit of a forward fold here. So it's not just the shoulders then, we're working into the spine. Once more. And then we're going to hula hoop the hips, legs nice and wide. We'll start from side to side, just checking things out and then taking the hips in a nice big circle. As you take the hips forward, see if you can just support your back and train the tailbone down, keeping the spine long. Just a couple more times, and then we'll change direction when you're ready. You can have a little bend in the knees if that feels more comfortable. And then last of all, that kind of Cossack movement, we bend this left knee and lift those right toes, slightly deeper in the thighs, stretch there. Also, we've got the support of the hands on the knees. Give them a rub if they're a little bit sensitive. And the next one is all about rounding the back and then extending the spine. Especially if you're not having your breakfast, go a little bit slowly with this. So we're going to take a hug and we're rounding down through the spine, like you're rolling up in a ball. Chin pressed into the chest, so the crown of the head starting to point down to the floor. We're crouching as small as we can, then press into the whole outline of both feet to stand up. Elbows lead the way. We're finding that cactus opening. Deep breath in, and then shoulders back and down. Off we go to the other side. See if you can cross the other arm in front. So doing slowly enough that the inner ear can catch up with where we are. Pressing into the feet, leading with the elbows. Big flower burst, open, stretch, stretching the skin on the palms of the hands, everything involved. And shrug out. Spine. Feet nice and wide, toes turned down. Let's open the arms wide, a deep breath in here. Crossing the arms across the body. And then bending the knees, press the knees out wide. Off we go again. Go for maybe 6, but it depends on what speed you're going. Every time we reach up, feeling the spine's a little bit longer. Breathing out, just getting a nice strong setup in this goddess pose, ready for working the spine. See if you can really reach for the opposite wall with the hands. Get that work into the tops of the shoulders all the way out here. Let's go for one more here, and then we are hopefully in a really strong position with the knees out, tracking over the toes. We're going to add on a side bend. So same initial arms, deep breath in, and then this left arm is coming all the way overhead into side bend. Reach and feel, enjoy that stretch of the side of the body. We'll take it side to side. Deep breath in, stretching. This time the right arm comes all the way over, following through. Feel the lungs expanding on this side. Feeling space you're creating. As you sink down, you have to really be mindful to keep the knees tracking over the toes as we go into automatic mode. The knees may dip forward, so see if you can still find that squeeze in the glutes to give you that extra external rotation in the hips, so I'm not straining the knees. Let's have one more each time, and then we're going to go on to a twist. So spine long. Squeeze the glutes, really always coming to a nice reset, long position at the top. So similar start now, we breathe in, reaching over, but then as if you're on a pull-up bar, create a fist, come to cactus arms, bend the knees and we'll spin over, chest, down to the navel, all the way over to face the right wall. Release, other side, pull-up bar, cactus arms, strong warrior kind of a pose and take a twist, keeping the lower body where it is. And lift. Strong arms, fists, so the whole of your arm is engaged. Twist. Let's have one more set, or even yourself out if we're out of sync, that's fine. Long spine, pubic bone curled up to the ribs to keep that lower abdominal engagement. This is going to be my last side here. Take a twist. And then release. Toe and heel the feet in, give the legs a little bit of a shake. We're going to use a sun salutation, a version of the sun salutation, but not coming all the way down to the floor, to keep warming up the body. So if we stand at the front of your space, feet right under the hips, tailbone long, shoulders back and down, remember the head back, so the ears are over the shoulders. Take a deep breath in, opening the arms wide. And as you breathe out, press the air down. See if you can quieten these front ribs together, coming down to the floor. Briefly hold the ankles, getting that release at the back and the legs. Your halfway lift, I prefer to have a softening in the knees and then finding length in the torso. I think if the legs are straight, there's too much of a rounding in the lower back. So softening the knees, we can work on the hamstrings over time safely. Now, come up with the hands on the knees, weight into your right leg, lift the left knee. We're going to go back to a high lunge. We need to have switched on these stabilizers in the core first. If you can't stand on one leg, at least briefly, it will be difficult to step back. Crescent and hamstring. So we can breathe in and lift the arms, get a nice hip flexor stretch here. As we breathe out, we'll start to straighten the front leg. The back heel might touch the floor, but don't force it down. We may just come to this position, the diagonal line with the shoulders peeled back, but long spine. So we can breathe in up to a crescent pose, then front knee bends, and breathing out towards a wide pyramid fold. 3 or 4 more rounds. So it depends on the speed you're going, but slower is better. Try every time you lengthen forward, you actually feel a little bit longer. You can keep your hands on the hips. The hips are square to the front. This is all nice flexibility in the back of the leg, releasing the front of the hip. Hip mobility is hinging forwards with a strong core. Now to come out, we'll place the hands on the front knee and see how much weight you can get into that front knee so we can step to the front. Take a deep breath in, stretch overhead, breathing out, coming into your fold. Hold the ankles, bow the head. Bend the knees softly and lengthen the torso so the chest is parallel to the floor. This time your weight is coming into the left leg. So find that stability, that pulling in the core, and see if, just test if the core is ready by lifting that right leg. So we keep that forward hinge so that we can, as lightly as possible, step back with that right leg. The heels lifted, front knee bent, and it's the same pattern. Crescent, so we can train the tailbone down so that it's the upper back where we're getting that extra length and opening the breath out and a re-engagement of those core muscles, still keeping the length, but avoiding rounding down over the leg. So that we've got all the benefits of yoga and Pilates. You have this modified sun salutation, but with all the alignment checkpoints of your Pilates. Optional, adding on the arms. So noticing if there's any part in this flow that maybe the toes peel off or we have that slight wobbling. Try to be patient and maybe slow down a little bit. So that's all the brain calibrating, just working out where more strength engagement is needed. Lovely. So again, to safely, smoothly transition to stepping forward, we want as much weight into this front foot as possible. Hands can be on the knees or forwards if that feels a little bit more secure. And let's step to the front. Have a little shake out. We're taking the Pilates roll down and roll up. So any tension from holding the spine in a long position, now we can let it go. Chin to chest, as if you're peeling yourself off a wall. It's quite nice to zigzag your way down so that we target more muscles on the back of the body. Slowly making your way down. We need to engage the core at a certain point to allow the back of the body to release. From our forward fold, we can bend one knee at a time. This is the last part, standing up, we'll roll up, and then we'll be rolling down and staying on the mat. So to roll up, we can soften the knees, and it's rebuilding from the base of the spine. See if you can have the discipline of keeping the arms, the head heavy, engaging the core to rebuild those blocks. One on top of the other. At the top, rolling the shoulders down, big stretch, and you're taking one more roll down, which will give me time to lower the camera. So off you go, rolling down, one vertebra at a time. All right, so hopefully we're all pretty much near the floor. So once you roll down, allow the hands to find the floor. And come to sit on your bottom. Let's all have the legs fanning out over to the right. We're going to lift the top leg, this right leg. So you may need to lean over to the left. Let's tuck the tailbone under, engage the core. This leg may feel really heavy, in which case you may need to come all the way down onto the forearms, and that's fine. We're working the glutes, the hips, the thighs. So when you're ready, we're going to go for 6 leg raises. We squeeze up for 6, 5, shoulders down, core engage, 4, 3, it's the ankle and the knee, 2, 1. Now we're swiveling back, so as if you're trying to touch the wall behind, we try and swivel back and squeeze for 6, 5, only movement from the hip, the core stays engaged. Keep going, 3, 2, 1. Back to the first one. We lift and squeeze. 6, 5. Keep going. Now, if you're someone who's got a lower back niggle, if you typically have that kind of sway back, that lovely curve in the lower back, really work on tilting the pelvis. We don't want to work load onto this area with an unhelpful curve in the back. So you can place your hand on the tailbone just to train it down a little bit. It'll help you keep that engagement in the core. I know that's more than 6. Let's go on to the swivels. This is the last set. Swiveling. 6, 5, 4. Seated twist will be lovely after this. 3, 2, 1. And place the foot on the outside of that lower knee. Nice. Sit bones on the floor, knee pointing up to the ceiling, and give it a hug. Let's see if we can rock till both sit bones are on the floor, and just enjoy that release in the hip. Lovely. One more breath. We're on to the other side, exactly the same thing. So let's take that mermaid set up position on the other side. And we're lifting. So find where you feel stable, where you've got a long tailbone, and we're lifting. Are we ready for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Swiveling. Remember, train the tailbone down. Keep the core engaged. The front ribs are knitted together. 6, 5. Nice long neck. 4. Point the toe. 3, 2, 1. Back to the first exercise of lifting, squeeze. 6. Protect your lower back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Swiveling. Just that movement from the hip, nothing else moving, but a lot happening in the body. Keep everything engaged. Hand on the lower back, or we're down on the forearms. Last couple, we're going to do a few extra because we did on the other side. And we're not finished with the legs. Let's take that seated twist, foot on the outside of the knee. Maybe, you can extend this bottom leg if that's better for you. And just give yourself this glorious moment to stretch out the hip. Gorgeous. So we're working the sit bones down to the floor. Chin back, ear over the shoulder. Add on a little bit of a spinal twist here if the hip is already released. We're going to lie on our left-hand side. Different side plank options. So we can come onto the forearm with the legs out, and we're going to lift the hips. It's fine to place the top foot on the floor and take this lift. If you feel into your obliques here, the side of your wedge, you'll feel them engaging. Now we can place a fist with this hand on the floor, keeping the shoulder over the wrist. Now let the elbow. Let's see if we can go for 6. So whichever version, foot on the floor, and even just the intention is going to tone and strengthen the side of the waist. The top foot can be in front or stacked. So let's go and lift for 6, 5. Still tailbone tucked. We want a nice long line. So if this is affecting your lower back, do take a modified version. So the foot to the floor so that some of the pressure is siphoned off down out of the foot. Bottom tucked, we've got that long line, ear, shoulder, outer hip, outer knee, ankle. One more. Brilliant. All right, we're taking leg lifts. Here you can come down onto your hand. Your legs come slightly in front of the body, and we're lifting, point the toe for 6, 5, relax the shoulders, core still engaged. 3, 2, and 1. This time just moving from the knee. So draw a line up in the thigh to the knee, point the knee up to the ceiling. See if we can balance in this position and just the legs straighten. 6, 5, bottom tucked. 4, 3, 2, 1, you've done it. Torpedo. Float the top leg, so it's just hovering. Maybe a little bit higher. Tilt the pelvis under, core engage. See if we can lift the lower leg up to meet. 6, 5, 4. No clenching your jaw. 3, 2, 1. Packing it all in. Take the front leg forwards and backwards without moving your upper body. 5. Oh, and then you tip back. Use those stabilizing your core. You're feeling a bit warmer now. Give me one more of these. A circle in each direction, not going to your biggest range, just to get that movement back into it once in each direction. Amazing. Bend the knees and pass out the hip. We'll go straight onto the other side. Okay, side plank. To set up so your shoulders over the wrists. You've got a nice long line out the side, and the intention of lifting, whether you lift or not. The foot can come on the floor. We'll go straight into your version of 6. Bottom tucked, core strong. 3. You can lift the arm if you want. 2, 1. Brilliant. Now come down onto the hand. Let's go into the leg raises, point the toe. And I've added on the knee. I'll go to the knee in a moment. Let's just do 6 of these. 5, 4. Point the toe so the whole chain is engaged. 2, 1. Now just the knee, movement from the knee. 6, 5, 4, 3, nearly there. 2, 1. Float the leg down so it's hovering. We're in a torpedo setup. Engage the core and let's lift that lower leg, squeeze in the thighs working. 5. Try to avoid jerking. We're aiming for a slow, controlled movement. Nearly there. Just got side kick in the circles. So side kick, we're going to go for more control than the name suggests. We can get as much pressure through these top fingertips as you need to help you stabilize the core. A nice hip extension as that goes back behind the body. You realize how much engagement is needed to prevent that counter movement in the upper body. We want to avoid that entirely. Just come forwards to meet the leg, engage the back of the body as the leg goes back. And let this the last time, and let this just circle just to feel movement through the hip the whole way around and the other direction. Take a moment to bend the knees out in front. Give at your hip a little bit of a pat out and come onto the back. When you're ready. Lie on your spine. Let's think about scissoring the legs and then doing splits. Not really. So legs up in the air. Hold the backs of the legs. And we're taking it in turns to draw one leg in and then the other. Now, if your chin is pointing up to the ceiling, do put something under your head or curl up. Let's think about a fleshy peach under the chin if you are curling up. So we should be getting gently to the edge of our flexibility here. So only coaxing the leg in. Most of the work being done by the leg muscles rather than the arms. Just right at the end, the arms can add a little bit of a stretch. Let's have 2 more. And then with the splits, it's the same sort of thing, but the legs are going into that wide V shape. Lovely. So head can rest on the floor. We'll breathe in, opening wide, breathe out to close. Roughly 6 to 8 steps. Breathing in, opening wide, breathing out, core engaged. Can we do this with a neutral spine? So only the tiniest curve in the lower back. One option, if you don't have something to hand to put under your head, you can just hold the head in the hands. Breathing deeply, try to find a nice movement. A little bend in the knees is fine here. Working the abductors and adductors with the thighs. A little bit of engagement in the core. Last two, and then we'll hug the knees into the chest. Have a little rock on the spine. We're onto cycling. I'm not doing much of a break today, am I? Hold the head in the hands. Now flatten that belly down. Draw your ribs together. Maximum engagement. Support the head and the neck. Thumbs down the neck. Proper hammock for the head. Shoulders down. And we'll extend the left leg. Right knee comes in. We'll slowly switch. So gently, slowly, with control, cycling through the legs. With no movement in the spine, we continue that in core engagement throughout the movement. So if in the mind's eye, we're thinking about the curves of the spine, draw that line, particularly into the lower spine, and try to fix that position, no movement, whatever engagement, if there's any wavering, maybe go a little bit slower, maybe the brain needs to catch up and engage. We're nearly there. Sometimes when we really fire up the core, it just gives us a little bit of extra confidence in the rest of the day. We've got so much power in this area. It's a little bit of fire. It's all good, as long as there's no pain. If you feel you're arching your back, take your knees in closer to the chest and work here for your last set. We've just got to go into an oblique twist so that we work those side muscles. So now it's opposite shoulder towards knee. And then slowly with control. There's no momentum, no flinging. We're owning every bit of this movement. And it hits the spot that much quicker if we can slowly find our way into that oblique twist. Slowly transition. Ooh, I'm hotter now. We're going to finish with cow face poses. We'll take it side to side, but in a gentle flow so that if you've got any knee niggles or your hips are a little bit tight, we can measure how deeply we go into that hip work. For our last set, let's do one last set together and let's see if we can hold together for a 10 count. Hold that oblique twist, squeeze, crunching for 10, 9, 8, lift the chest, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't curse me, over to the last side. Lift the shoulders as much as you can for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a full body stretch and stretch out those abdominals. Deep breath in, enjoy that stretch, and then meet me on all fours. And we'll see how deeply you are up for a cow face pose here. So let's cross one knee in front of the other, separate the feet, and just gently sway back. So those who are used to the cow face pose, you may find the floor, but wherever you are at along this journey, as long as it feels yummy and a release in the hips, we're all winning. So a couple of times, if you feel it's more beneficial just to rest back in this position and work on the hips, settling down into the floor, it's fine here. We've got 2 more breaths on this side and then we'll switch legs. You can smile now. I'm not going to put you through anything else. We've done well. Are we ready? Other side. So we come back onto all fours, cross the other knee in front, separate the feet, and it might be quite a small movement. Adjusting back. Definitely don't worry if the knees don't stack as you hinge the hips back. Just about exploring, checking in with the hips, giving those external rotators the chance to release. Sometimes a little bit of a sway side to side, just working into all those muscles that have served us so well for the last 30 minutes. So either upright or leaning forwards, maybe on all fours, maybe a child pose by now. We just give ourselves just a moment together. Take a deep breath in and then release the breath. See if we can go for 1 3-part breath. Breathe in so the belly balloons out. Then the ribs expand. Then up into the chest, long spine. Hold the breath as long as you can. And then out through the mouth. And that's your sigh of relief. You have done it. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.